Bioaccumulation. So just a quick recap on food webs. So from this food web, can you list a food chain that is 4 stages long? So the really obvious one is this one here. So leaves and berries, earthworm, robin, sparrowhawk. But also, you could have said dandelion, rabbit, stoat, sparrowhawk, or leaves and berries, mouse, stoat, sparrowhawk. If I asked you what happened, one that's 3 stages long, you could say dandelion, rabbit, owl, or leaves and berries, mouse, owl. I could also ask you what would happen if all the rabbits got a disease and they all died. So if they all died, well, you could say, well, because there's less animals to eat the dandelions, the dandelion population would increase. The stoat population may decrease because there's less rabbits for them to eat, and the owl population might decrease because there's less rabbits for them to eat. The mouse population might decrease because now the only food source for the owl is the mouse. And the stoat population, I've already said, would decrease, but they would also eat more mice. So you can see that just one species going missing or declining in a food web can have drastic impacts on the rest of the food web. So we're looking at today how pollutants affect the environment. So the objective is describe how pesticides can kill other organisms in a food chain. So pesticides. So why do farmers use pesticides? Well, they need pesticides to stop things like aphids from eating their crops, insects from eating their crops. So pesticides will either break down and become harmless over time, or they can actually be persistent and are not broken down. But it's these ones that are the most dangerous. So DDT is an example of a pesticide that was sprayed on fruit until it was revealed that it was actually a persistent toxin and it had drastic effects on the food chain. So this leads on to bioaccumulation. So it was discovered that DDT bioaccumulates in food chains. So what that means is if there's a little bit of DDT sprayed on the crop, yes, that's not that bad for the crop because it's only a little bit. But then, say, worms ate the crop or insects eat the crop, they might have a little bit more DDT in them. But then a bird might eat 2 or 3 of these worms or these insects, and so all of the DDT from these separate worms or insects will then all gather in that bird, and therefore the effects on the bird is a lot worse than either the insect or the crop itself. So if birds eat enough DDT, they can lay eggs with thin shells that break before they're actually ready to hatch. So this could actually affect the sparrowhawk population and other parts of the food chain. So the sparrowhawk population would decrease because there wouldn't be enough new chicks that hatch properly and healthily. And that could affect the other parts of the food chain because if there's less sparrowhawks, we go back, then that means there's less less predator to eat the robin. So the robin population might increase because the sparrowhawk population would decrease. The robin could go out of control, really. Okay, another example of bioaccumulation, mercury compounds were used to make paints to stop barnacles growing on the hulls of ships. So these are barnacles. However, mercury bioaccumulates in aquatic food chains, and mercury damages the reproductive and nervous systems of mammals, including humans. So mercury is absorbed by plant plankton, and then it bioaccumulates up the food chain in increasing concentrations. So then if you ate contaminated tuna with a lot of mercury in, then you could get mercury poisoning. So mercury is now banned from many chemical products, and its use is regulated, and you can't use it to paint ships anymore. So that is bioaccumulation.